There are so many noises happening around me. I don't know if you guys can hear them, but there is some mad bass playing outside. My sister is screaming about zombies, and there's loud cars, and I'm very tired, and this is probably not the best time to do this, but here we are. Hi, cuties. It's time to talk about books because I can't shut up about books. But this time I'm going to shut up about books within 1 minute. Welcome to 1 minute reviews of all the books I read in October. I'm going to try to limit myself. And when I say try, I mean I'm actually going to set a timer on my phone and I'm going to cut myself off. I'm going to give myself 1 minute to tell you about each book that I read. I read 17? I don't know. My brain has reached the point today where it can't. My brain can't anymore. I worked 10.5 hours and I think it shows. So anyway, let's talk about books. Life is very strange right now for me, cuties. Between balancing here and work and writing and everything else, I'm in a weird pickle. And I don't like pickles. I've never liked pickles. That's my sister. All right? Anyway, let's get to the part where I talk about books and not about how exhausted I am in the day and would like to go to bed. Before I hit my 1 minute, I'm going to tell you what the book is. All right? And then I'll do my 1 minute. So the first book that I read and finished in the month of October was A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green, the sequel to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, which I read back in July. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Okay, so in this book, we are back in the world that we left off in. It's our world. Obviously, we have still the aftermath of the Carls, which are now gone, but the world is in this weird state because the dreams are all gone, but people are still kind of affected by it, and they're like, oh my god, where is April? But we get more POVs in this one, which I really liked. So I liked the sequel more because we got more into this world and it expanded. It was still weird, but I liked it. It was still a Hank Green book, even though this is only his second book, but I really liked how that was. Like I said before, I really like Hank Green's writing, kind of more than I like him as, more than I like John Green's writing, but I mean, they're completely different people. Just because they're brothers doesn't mean they have to write exactly the same, FYI, and I really liked how this one went. I really liked how the Carl was portrayed more with all the different weird things and the whole monkey 4 stars, 4 out of 5. The next book I read was Of Curses and Kisses by Sanja Menon. This is actually the first book of Sanja Menon that I have picked up. I own her other contemporaries, but this is the first one that I've gotten to, and it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Ready, set, 1 minute. Okay, this was so freaking cute. I did not expect this. All right, it took me a bit to get into it because we have rich kids in a school for rich kids, but like badly behaved rich kids, and there's kind of this curse, this element of magic where it's like you don't know if it's really magic or not, but it's kind of magical, and their whole like kind of love story is kind of an enemies to lovers. And I really like that concept because I'm a sucker for Beauty and the Beast. It's one of my favorite kind of tropes, and but it's not like creepy at all. It's just kind of enemies to lovers trope, which is one of the biggest tropes that I am an absolute sucker for. And I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was super cute. I was annoyed with her sister to a point, but also with her. So a lot of the characters have their own flaws that they grew from, which I really appreciated. So you don't start off perfect. So I really liked it. This 1 minute thing is gonna ruin me, I think. Next up, we've got Grim Lovelies by Megan Shepherd. This was a book that was gifted to me. I think Hala, did you bought this one for me? Are you ready? I'm not ready. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. 1 minute, set, go. Okay, so this is a weird ass book. Okay, I did not expect this. It was like both good and kind of weird. It was kind of mediocre, but we dealt with these characters who were once animals, but they were turned into humans by a witch who owned their pelts. So there's kind of this like Selkie lore going on, which I really, really appreciated. But some of the characters were kind of flat and kind of one-dimensional, and I didn't really appreciate it. And a lot of people were complaining about not queer baiting, kill your gaze trope in it, which it didn't actually happen. It wasn't, you have to go to the sequel, which I'll review that later. Not time for this one. I didn't really care about the love story in this at all, and I thought it should have gone a little bit differently with our main character, and I didn't quite connect with this at all that much, but it was just kind of like, you know, it was really adventurous, and I like kind of the adventures that we went on with it, but there was just kind of something lacking about the storytelling, and I listened to it as an audiobook, and I don't think I really liked how the audiobook was going because the narrator just wasn't that great, and it was, there it is. 3 stars. Okay, next up, we have a big baby, Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahurin. Mahurin? I don't actually know how to say your last name, but this is the sequel to Serpent and Dove, which I read last year, and I loved. And I don't know how I'm going to do this one in 1 minute, but we're going to try. Ready, set, go. Oh my freaking God, you guys, this book. Oh my God, I love this so much. This was so dramatic. I can't believe it. We're dealing with this. This is a trilogy. It's going to be a freaking trilogy, and I don't know how I'm going to wait for the next one. I am not okay with that ending. I am not okay. I really was like, we got a really good beginning, and we saw this struggle, we saw these changes, we saw this kind of darker path that everybody was going on, and oh my God, I cried. I was so angry. I literally, at a point, I threw the book. There was a point where I actually threw the book. I was sitting in my bed, and I read the thing, and I went, you're kidding me? And I went like this, and I threw it. I was so mad, and I didn't want to pick it back up, but then of course I had to pick it back up because I had to finish the rest of the book, because I had to hope that maybe this character would come back to life, but of course this character didn't come back to life. This character deserves so much better, but what the hell did you do? Oh my God, I'm so mad about it, and all the other characters I just love so much, and oh my God, I'm so mad about everything, and I didn't have enough time. Next up, we go into Midnight Beauties, which is the sequel to Grim Lovelies, which I read just earlier and described also by Megan Shepherd. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. So in the sequel, we get a little bit further, and I like the sequel more than I liked the first book. I liked how our main character, who I'm already forgetting her name, but it's something kind of, wait, what is it? What is her name? What is her name? What is her name? Anouk. Anouk. Her name is Anouk. And I like her own personal journey that she gets to go through with trying to make herself a witch, which was interesting in order to save her friends. Her whole relationship with the prince and stuff, which creepy and toxic and stuff. And I'm glad that that went the way it did. But I also still didn't care about her and the other dude that she's like actually in a relationship with. I really just felt like there was no chemistry there, and it really lacked. And a lot of the other characters, I don't care. I didn't really care too much about them. And there's a connection with one of the other characters who's like the big brother character, but I didn't really understand why, because he's missing for a lot of the first book, and and he's also missing from this book too, and you don't really care about him. Meh. I gave it a 3 as well, but yeah. Okay, this isn't actually part of the reviews, but I wanted to make it known that I reread Red, White, and Royal Blue because I had to make tabby points to it because I love this book so much. And I was like, after reading a lot of disappointments this month, I'm like, I need to read something that I really love. And so I went through and tabbed all my favorite parts, but technically reread Red, White, and Royal Blue. There's that. And then we also have to talk about a book that I actually DNF'd. And you know me. I mean, I hope you know me. Maybe you don't know me, but I do not DNF. I very rarely DNF. I DNF'd Eligible, which is a Pride and Prejudice retelling by Curtis Sittenfeld. I read the first 30 pages and I was like, this is not happening. I was listening to the audiobook for it, and the characterizations of the Bennett sisters was just so blatantly wrong and horrible that I couldn't take it. This was just blasphemous to the name Austen. I'm sorry, Lizzie Bennet would never be sleeping with a married man in any modern retelling. That is not a Lizzie Bennet characteristic. That is a Lydia Bennet characteristic. That is not a Lizzie Bennet thing. Okay? What the hell? There is a lot of things super wrong with this, and as I read more of the Goodreads reviews on it, people spoiled me more. There's a lot of like homophobic and transphobic things that happen in this from Lizzie herself. I'm like, are you kidding me? No, no, no. So I'm not going to even bother with the rest of this series. Like, I have the rest of like the Austen book retelling things, and I looked at each one of their reviews. I can't believe I didn't do this before, but I looked at all of them. Here's the Sense and Sensibility ones, and all of them have absolutely horrendous reviews. And I think I was just holding out for hoping for a good Pride and Prejudice, or again, good retellings and stuff, or just some fun romping stuff, and people were just mad because they were, you know, too cute or something. But no, they're awful, and we're not touching that anymore. So that goes away, and we're not bothering. And I'm not counting it as a book I read. It's a DNF. I'm not counting it, and there is that. Moving forward, we have Witchborn by Nicholas Bowling, and 1 minute on the clock. We go. I literally could not tell you anything about this book. I don't remember what happens. This was one of the most bland books I've ever read. I was so bored with it, and I don't remember the main characters' names. I know there's a girl who was I think a daughter of a witch, and who might have some witchy abilities, but I don't remember what they were. There was also a boy who might be a son of a witch, and they were hiding out together at some point, maybe. But people were looking for her because she's actually, there's something to deal with the Queen, with Queen Elizabeth and Mary, Queen of Scots. But nothing about this book made sense, and I'm super disappointed in it. And I actually have nothing else to say. I don't remember anything. It was so unmemorable. It was just very, yeah. I didn't even need the full minute for that. There you go. Moving on, we have The Paper Magician by Charlie N. I was like, M or N? N. Holmberg. And we go 1, 2, 3, start. So this one, very short, but it took me a while to get through. It was okay. I didn't fully hate it. I didn't quite enjoy all of it. I was actually expecting something completely different from this, and I don't really care for the love story that happens in this at all. I think it's really unbalanced because she spends a lot of time actually inside the heart of her teacher because of some weird stuff that happens, and he's dying, and the only way to help him is to actually go inside. Well, not, she gets trapped in there trying to break her way out to save his heart from the person who stole the heart, and some weird witchy-roo stuff happens. And it's weird because she learns about who he was as a person, and he was kind of a dickwad, and she falls in love with him through this path, but then comes back, you know, she comes back to him, and now he's back to life. And so there's this weird imbalance between this whole thing, and I don't know how I feel about that. So I don't know. There's the review. I don't know if I'll go on to the next book or not. Maybe it's intrigued me enough to go to it, but I gave it. Who's ready for me to struggle to do this one in a minute because I'm gonna gush so bad? Here we go. We have Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. Prepare yourselves. Prepare. 3, 2, 1. Oh my freaking God, this was another 5-star read. I love this. The only thing I didn't love about this is because I read it as an audiobook and they kept pronouncing some of the Japanese words wrong, and it drove me a little bit insane. But oh my God, I love Yumeko. I love her so much. She is a little mischievous, little kitsune, half human girl who is so fun, and Tatsumi, who is my poor soft boy, who is a really like a strong boy, but deserves to be loved, but he's not, and doesn't know what happiness is, and they're so cute, and all the fun adventure aspects of it. Like, this should just be a full-on movie. It should be this great, I can see this as a full, like, Japanese drama and stuff. It's so good and so intense, and I can't wait. I finally have the audiobooks for the next 2 in the series, so I can read them, and I'm very excited about it. I'm very worried about all my characters, and oh my God, I love how we built this found family through it. I loved all the villains that we meet in it, and I love the twist at the ending of it, and oh my God, I loved everything about this. Oh my God, dang it. 5 stars. 5 freaking stars. I'm not over that one yet. Hold on. I need to calm down from Shadow of the Fox because I'm really not done. I'm not over it. All right, the next book I read was The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa, which is not in theme with October, but I read it anyway. 3, 2, 1. So this is a contemporary novel. It is a true enemies to lovers, and I really, really enjoy this. I enjoy this a lot more. What I didn't like so much was the more sexy scenes in it, because I'm a little too ace for that, what they had going, but I really liked the development of their relationship, and I kind of wished for a little bit more in the ending. I think the ending was a little lacking for me, but overall story arc and character building with our main 2 characters was very nice, and I kind of wish there is a sequel coming or something just to see their progression in life and everything like that. And I really enjoyed it. I liked their banter, I liked their humor, I love their inner thoughts. It was just a little bit too sex driven. So if you're someone who likes a little bit more of a steamy romance, who really gets into the more erotic side of things, I'm not, and it was kind of like skip. But it was still fun and enjoyable. Okay, bye. 1 minute is very difficult, I'm gonna say. We have Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. 3, 2, 1. Oh my god, I also freaking love this one. I don't know. Okay, Asian mythology fantasy books won for me this month, and this was so good. This is kind of a Mulan, kind of a Twelfth Night, kind of sort of, and a little bit of Project Runway, and it had a whole bunch of, what did I write? What else had, there's so much going on, and I loved it so much. I really liked the romance in this one. This was like, okay, I wasn't sure if they were going for that, but they were going for that, and I really liked the competition aspect. I really loved the adventure aspect that happens in this. I got a little bit lost in the ending with how this whole thing with the demon and with the dresses was going to work out, but there is a sequel, so there is more happening. It is literally in my Libby app right now. I am reading it this month in November. It is happening. It is on my shelf behind me. I cannot wait. But in this one, it was so intense. It was so cool envisioning all the dresses and how the fabrics work together, and just kind of really. It's really good and you should read it. The next book that I read is Spell Hacker by M.K. England. This is not a sequel to The Disasters, just FYI, it is a complete other standalone. 3, 2, 1. Also so good. I love this. I related so hard to Dizzy in this one. It was so good, and I really, really liked it. And I really felt this whole, like, everyone's moving on without you kind of feel that she's going through. And then the entire aspect of the magic system, the Maz, and this kind of sci-fi world, and the just conspiracy going on with it, and the struggles between the relationships with it, and the will they, won't they aspect of a lot of stuff in this. I really liked this. I thought it was very realistic. Other people have kind of complained about how Dizzy is very angsty and constantly thinking about this stuff, but I'm like, if you've been in that position, you know that those thoughts about everyone leaving you behind and you just being a complete failure all of the time and stuff, that encompasses literally everything that you do and every interaction that you have. And I speak from personal experience with that because it is something that haunts me, and so I related so hard to this book in how Dizzy feels and how much anger she has for her friends. And I want to talk more about this book, but like, read it, and I related so hard. It's so good. I love M.K. England. I also need sequels, M.K. England, for everything. Okay, the next book I have, I do not physically own. I'm kind of glad I don't, because it was a disappointment, but that's getting into the review, which I don't have enough time for because I only have a minute for. So anyways, it is The Jane Austen Society by Natalie Jenner? Natalie Jenner. Yes, correct. 3, 2, 1. The Jane Austen Society was one of my 2020 anticipated release because it deals with, you know, Jane Austen. It is a historical fiction, and it was just too much of the adult stuff that I'm not into. Not so much like, you know, sex and stuff like that, but it was just so depressing. And granted, yes, this is set right after World War II ends, but I really didn't like the romance that happened in it. It does have a huge age gap that happens, dealing with a doctor and a patient and the patient who loses their baby, whose husband has died in the war and is widowed and vulnerable. And I get that they kind of knew each other beforehand and there was chemistry there, but it still kind of weirded me out, and I didn't honestly feel a romantic connection between them at any point. So it wasn't very believable of a romance, in my opinion. I thought some other aspects of it were really good, and I liked some of it. Other parts of it was just kind of boring to me, and I didn't really like too much of it. So anyway, it was kind of a disappointment. Now I don't have to buy it because I've read it and I don't really want a copy. Next up, we have All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. Here we are, 3, 2, 1. This one was really enjoyable, and I'm trying to remember everything about it. I'm looking at my notes really, really quickly. Oh yes, that's right, I hated the voice actor. So this is a good story to read physically because I think it is very fun, it is very adventurous, and I like the magic that's in it as well, but I thought the voice actress for this in audiobook is terrible. Sorry. I don't mean to be harsh about it, but she made it all the men sound like they were 12 years old, and I could not believe them, especially with all the kind of romancy stuff that happens in them, especially her actual fiance sounds like he's 5, and I could not take him seriously, and I didn't really I hated the voice acting for it. I really enjoyed the entire story, but I definitely recommend reading this physically. It is a very beautiful book. I love, the mermaid's the best, okay? The mermaid is the best character, and wait, what was her name again? Shoot, what's her name? Oh my gosh. I think it's Vitea. Anyway, the mermaid's really great and she's the best character. The last audiobook that I read this last month was The Silvered Serpents by Roshni Chokshi, which is the sequel to The Gilded Wolves, which I read earlier this year. And oh boy, am I glad I pre-ordered this baby, because I love this one even more than I love Gilded Wolves. And Gilded Wolves is kind of not controversial, but it's kind of you might like it, you might not like it, and I was more so on the side of liking than not liking, but I loved Silvered Serpents. I loved the angst part of this that really happened. I'm so mad at Hypnos right now because Hypnos is one of my favorite characters. Enrique is probably my absolute favorite character in this whole series, and my poor boy deserves so much more. And Hypnos, my boy, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you kidding me? He's right there. He is right there. And with Severin and Layla's whole romance and thing, it's okay. I'm not really into their romance. I don't really care for them bringing Zofia into the thing with Enrique and stuff, because I really hardcore think Zofia is just ace and arrow. I really think she is arrow ace, and I would prefer her to stay that way and just have a good representation that way. But anyway, I didn't even get to the actual plot. I just talked about the character relationships. The plot's really cool too. There you go. All right, we're at the last book that I read, and that is The Girl at Midnight by Melissa Gray. Last minute, here we go. So this was kind of a weird letdown. It deals with this kind of urban fantasy element where you have a race of people known as the Avacen, who are bird people, and dragon people, who are Dracaran. Is that what their race is, I think? And they're at war and they're all looking for the Phoenix, so it's oh, it kind of sounds like my own book, but that's pretty much where it ends in similarities with my own book. And there is fun little found family. There is kind of tropey, flat characters in it, and I don't like that our main character, who has an actual boyfriend, legitimately kind of cheats on him, and there's nothing really resolved with it. I don't know. It was I'm conflicted by this book because I don't know if I want to read the next ones or not. And for those of you who have read this, tell me, should I go on to read the sequel? Because I am on the fence big time. There were aspects I liked and aspects I didn't, so tell me. I don't know. Help me decide if I should read the sequels or not for those. I could go either way. Anyway, there you go. Those are my 1-minute reviews after a very exhausting day at work, although that did energize me a little bit more. Talking about books always helps bring me back into better spirits. So there. That's good. What do you guys think? Have you read any of the books? Did my 1-minute reviews help you guys at all? Because I don't think they were very helpful, but hopefully they were entertaining. If you guys have any further questions or comments, leave them down below. What did you guys read in October? Please let me know, and I will see you next time, cuties. Bye!